The airbenders were unable to escape and everyone was taken captive.
Now, I know that everyone got captured this time, but I'm just pointing out this is Janora's 4th capturing by my count, 5th if you go all the way back to season 1. I know the point is that she's gonna do something about it this time, but you know, I'm just saying.
I say we make our approach from the west, drop down from the airship on cables.
You guys draw up a new map for this? I've never seen such a symbol on any Avatar map.
It'll never work. That combustion lady will pick us off one by one.
One by one? You think this lady is gonna pick you off one by one?
Wait, I got it. I'll disguise myself as a lost hiker, and once I'm in the temple, I'll distract the Red Lotus with my bird calls.
Bolin, one of your friends has to reckon with giving up her life for the sake of an entire endangered group of people, and you're currently interrupting the plans to avoid that reality with your shitty stand-up. Imagine if Sokka started acting like this when they were trying to figure out their plans with Iroh, right? Ugh.
It doesn't matter.
I don't even want to be around anymore.
Then I think you'll agree. The only plan that will work is for me to give myself up.
Korra's come a long way from where she started, and the people that argue that her character doesn't change aren't paying much attention if you ask me. At the same time though, I don't know if her getting to this point is well enough explored or well written enough, but that'll probably be a point made in book 4.
Will you sit down? I'm already tense enough as it is. I'm just worried about Opal, and Papa's not here to comfort me. I hope he and Naga are doing okay back in Zaofu.
No, not Mako's scarf. Bad dog and rat thingy.
For as much as these last 2 episodes are pretty cool, it's kind of hard getting into this one. This is the tonal clashing I tend to bitch about so much in Korra. Mako's right, the shit should be tense. I don't think cutting away to haha funny animal gag is conducive to what the show is trying to do here. And I've had this lingering problem since late season 3 of Airbender. Just let your show be intense or have emotion or gravity. I know it's on Nickelodeon, but even kids appreciate when you take them seriously.
Did you speak to Zaheer?
Yes. He told me to come to the top of Lakima's Peak at noon.
This fucking guy.
Zaheer doesn't know how many of us there are, so we have the numbers advantage.
I know Lynn's been wearing metal armor for the entire show, but like, man, sure hope they don't have a Red Lotus guy in reserve that can metal bend this armor into your chest cavity in 50 different ways.
Let go your earthly tether. Enter the void. Empty and become wind. Empty and become wind.
This scene is so much cooler when you know what's about to happen. There are a lot of complex emotions tied up here that you might not think of on first watch, but we'll discuss that after the bad thing happens. Remember when I said this is all a guy wants in a relationship?
Let's face the end of the world together!
I may have been wrong. Turns out that Lahima's Peak is the very rock formation that Tenzin took the airbenders to on their early morning hike / meditation session.
Be careful, Korra. You too.
This time, Mako's the one surprised to be getting hugged, and it makes me think. The season started with Mako being unclear of his position within the team and being awkward around both Asami and Korra, and from this, you'd think there would have been some character work done to kind of get him past those feelings, but honestly, no, not really, and that's largely because the whole team isn't really around each other much in this season. The time that they actually are, they're in Zaofu, and the show tends to focus on different things for the most part. I don't know, it just feels like Mako was in the show this time because he was in the other 2 seasons. I can't really think of anything that wouldn't have went down basically the same way if they just had only Bolin and didn't write him to be such an idiot. The only real impact he's had is on the Iway investigation thing. Other than that, what? Why are you here? You don't impact the story much or other characters around you, and your character isn't pushed in any interesting direction. You're just here so Dark Team Avatar can be against Good Team Avatar?
Dad, watch out for Zaheer. He's not very fond of world leaders.
I can handle him.
Man, Tonrock's a fucking monster. Could you imagine having to scale a mountain and then having to fight for your daughter at an endangered nation and your own life while being like... Is this like the Zaheer Azula ding? This ominous ringing? It happens a lot when it comes to him. It's not just that one time when he was undercover.
Must have been some fight.
Last time that was said in this universe was about an airbender fighting this huge prick.
Must have been some fight.
So pretty cool through line that they used it for the exact same thing here.
Do you see the airbenders?
Not yet. We're just arriving. Don't turn yourself over until I get a visual on them.
And by visual, I mean for real. I'm gonna see them all in the flesh, Korra. On this, I can guarantee you.
Drop your staff and surrender yourself.
Oh, this guy thinks he's funny now.
They're here, but so is the lava bender.
Tell Ghazan to let the airbenders go!
I don't think there's been any situation where Korra would have learned Ghazan's name. Every time she's been around him, she's been knocked out or in the spirit world, and Zaheer never mentioned it. The only way she would have learned it is through Mako and Bolin, who did learn it, which isn't too far-fetched, I guess, but ever since they reunited, it's been like, holy shit, go, go, go!
Not until you turn yourself over. This isn't a negotiation. Wipe them out!
Yes, wipe them out! Oh, and there goes the staff.
And don't bother trying to metal bend out of these. They're platinum.
Oh, I've been waiting for this one. Another point we have to double back to. Metal bending and platinum, and why I think it's dumb as hell. I mostly have to reiterate, I think. A lot of people got crossed up at thinking that somehow I thought the platinum thing was stupid because, one, platinum is absurdly rare in the real world, so having enough of it to make walls and mechs is stupid. My answer to that is, I don't care about that. This is a cartoon world. Platinum could be as commonly occurring as limestone, and I wouldn't care. Or two, they thought that somehow I didn't grasp the logic behind metal bending is that you are bending the impurities in the metal. And no, I get that. Even though, like I argued before, this visual has probably really messed up some people's perception of impurities in metal, but I digress. I don't care how common it is. I don't care how pure the show tells me the metal is. It's dumb because the show wants metal bending to be a thing until it's inconvenient. It's much, much, much less egregious here because it's just some handcuffs, whatever. But in season 1, when it was one of the main obstacles, giant platinum mechs, it just seems like a clunky, horrible excuse for your magic to not work, just so you can have the cool giant metal mechs that don't get dummied immediately by the magic you wrote into your story. Does that not feel cheap no matter the internal logic? And this is coming from a guy that loves limitations on powers. Limitations usually imply that characters have to be creative and thoughtful and problem solving, but this doesn't do that. This just turns off a part of the magic system arbitrarily when the story calls for metal bending not to be a thing. It's just dumb, man. I don't know. Wow, Ming-Hua's good at faking this. She's even making some of them struggle under their iconic airbender hoods that they're always wearing. Mako, Bolin, neither of you clocked that?
Korra!
It was a trick! They're not here! Don't turn yourself over!
We had a deal!
What do you mean the psycho-terrorist anarchist lied to you? Korra having to fight and be creative while bound like this is an excellent example of what I mean by having to be creative while limited. Oh, she can't do her normal move. She has to fight in this strange hopping cadence that's pretty awkward. Cool, makes the interaction interesting. This is the guy that did 50 push-ups that one night. Man, I hope that was enough. There's an explosion here that does have the signature combustion bending pops beforehand, but then there's at least a few that don't have them. Conrock nearly kills his own daughter, caught in 1080p, advanced bitrate as well, I believe, if he paid for it. Oh, that might be one of the coolest moves on the show, maybe? The alley-oop jump scare fire drop kick? Very technical. There was a moment earlier in this episode, too, of Bolin tying the airship down, I suppose to set up this moment, but I find myself thinking, this 1,000-ton machine is being held here by a couple of normal ropes as it hovers here. While flipping through the air, Ming-Hua still seems pretty uninterested here.
Will you just bury them already?
Once again, cut out the middleman, Gazan, summon this enormous pool of lava right under them, and you're good. I don't know why you're complicating things.
Come on.
Hairpin defeats platinum cuffs. Got it. If only Korra did her hair differently. Darn. But then again, why do you even have these? Your hair's always down all the time, just in case you need to pick a lock. Just carry a sword, dumbass.
We have to get back to the airship.
Not gonna happen! The exit's blocked!
If only there was a way for firebenders to run along walls. If only there was a way for earthbenders to launch themselves and those around them vast distances. See what I mean? Hard to have environmental struggles and high tension like this when you open up your movement system more and more. Luckily, though, they made it clear that this part of the temple is carved directly into the mountain, so simply blowing a hole through this wall and getting out wouldn't be an option.
Bolin, can you get us through that wall?
On it!
This is probably more appropriate for moving enormous amounts of earth we just can't see, unlike when Aang did it and you're just like, how much earth are you technically moving here? I know most people are like, wow, they destroyed the entire Northern Air Temple just from this shot, but no, really, it's just a little lava. They just destroyed this one little landing area. Surely if the lava behaves even semi-logically, it won't be that bad. Aang would probably only be slightly pissed. Now, I'm no fucking lava doctor, but wouldn't lava cool pretty quickly here in this situation? And where's all coming from anyway, if you think about it? Gazan made a lot, sure, but it's like chasing them like it's a horror movie across level ground. Like, he's not bending anymore. Is bent lava immune to natural cooling for a while? Is bent lava also blood hungry and evil? Like, how much did this dude make? A lot, I know, but like, this shit's moving. Could you imagine how deadly Plea would be if she could aim? This shit's just good, bro. I don't know what to tell you. Just 30 seconds of pretty cool Avatar action. I especially like the trip-up move that Korra does. I find a lot of the time with this magic, the smaller, clever moves are a lot cooler than the giant flipping kicks and explosions.
Say hello to the Earth Queen for me.
See, now here's my gotcha moment. I've been waiting for it. Ever since I questioned what the afterlife was in Avatar when Iroh decided to stay in the spirit world, a lot of people told me, well, it's probably reincarnation because of 1, the Avatar is an example, and 2, because of the inspirations the show takes for its world. But if that's the case, what's Zaheer implying here? He's basically saying you're going to hell with the Earth Queen, so like, what the hell? Crazy that the only 2 people to ever get tornado thrown are brothers, huh? That doesn't count, he didn't get thrown. Holy shit, relax. There's no full auto in buildings.
That's full auto in buildings, bro.
I'm not full auto. It's not full auto.
That's not full auto?
This is. That's full auto.
Damn, bro. Okay.
I'm gonna draw her fire. You take her out. Lynn, no! I love you. Come and get me, you third-eyed freak!
Lin kind of the master of the emotional self-sacrifice. I can dig it. I can dig it hard. Now, if the Earth Queen's death was the most clear one we get to see, this one is definitely the most brutal. Pretty intelligently just implied as well. I'm surprised they got away with what they did, honestly, making it so clear that she's about to fire and then even giving some, I don't know, heat or energy to the metal as it encases her head just before it cuts away. The only thing I would wish for is maybe a muted explosion sound as well, but hey, maybe they just couldn't get away with it. Anyway, yeah, pretty brutal, pretty cool. This team has always been pretty good about implying horrible things happening without showing it, which has to count as high praise. If you can still incorporate bad things happening by being intelligent about how you show them, that's awesome. Almost plays into that point I made about limitations, making things cooler sometimes, huh? Think I did that on purpose? Yeah, you'll never know. Zaheer basically has a signature move of his own in this fight. Twice he slammed Korra into the ground, and he's attempted it another time too. Pretty cool idea for a more brutal form of airbending combat.
Empty and become wind.
No! Stop!
He can fly! Obviously, this scene is getting at that Zaheer is finally able to embrace Lahima's philosophy after the death of Pli. He no longer has any earthly attachments. His love for her was the only thing literally holding him down, which makes the previous scene a lot cooler. Zaheer's vibe in that scene before Pli shows up is almost one of sadness or acceptance that he could never be like Lahima. And then, of course, enter the reason, Pli. And then his confirmation and acceptance of that and doubling down on loving Pli is made all the stronger by realizing that he will love Pli over attaining this enlightenment he yearns for. Only now, upon his loss, is he able to achieve the weightlessness of his idol and teacher. Because he is empty, he can become wind. Despite Ghazan only destroying this one area, it seems like the entire lower portion of the temple is actively melting. Like I said, not a lava doctor, but, huh?
Guess he doesn't need a ride.
Yeah, but you might as well go pick up Pli, you know? Cool shot of Zaheer flying away from the smokestack that is undoubtedly Pli's body. Nice visualization.
We can't outrun it! This way!
I get it when it's in a volcano, like there's a ton of it coming up from inside the earth and it just keeps coming, but this, it's a set amount. There's no more coming, right? It just seems like it's creating more of itself.
Pull in!
Now I know what you're gonna think. Overanalyzing Avatar is gonna hate this shit. He's gonna say something like this, crying. Why can Bolin do this out of nowhere? Why wasn't there any setup? Why doesn't this children's show have bulletproof writing? And a lot of the time you'd be correct, but as I've proven over and over on this channel, my rules are nebulous and beyond human understanding. And if anyone takes my opinion as gospel, you're an idiot. I think this moment's pretty cool. I think there's room for a character to just get something sometimes, as long as it's not like story important, critical shit. I think moments like this can work. Bolin's been struggling to find what makes him special this whole season, racked with self-doubt and loathing. Him just feeling this and doing it when he's felt so unequal to his peers before this feels pretty good. It's kind of like an actual kind of Sokka beat. Just the feeling and confidence taking him over really sells the moment. I think this is great for Bolin this season.
Everyone hop on.
Man, Appa got tired after a while of carrying 7 people. Carrying 5 who weigh more for any amount of time has got to be tough for this little guy. Yeah, no, there it goes. If Bolin can figure out how to do the lava bending that just makes more lava on top of itself, that'd be pretty sweet.
I owe you my life.
Conrock never got it in the arm ever, other than punching the ground in slow motion.
You can call me Kuvira.
Does this feel ominous to anyone else, or...?
Hey, everybody, there's something I gotta tell you.
How did you guys make it out of that temple alive?
It was all Bolin. I thought we were done for. Then out of nowhere, he lava bends.
The realest this cast has ever been. It's almost heartwarming, ignoring Kai. So real.
Apparently, he can fly now.
What?
How?
I've heard the legends about Guru Lahima's ability to fly.
And he did it at Lahima's peak too, Tenzin. How serendipitous.
That giant lady met up with some people who took the airbenders into the caves.
Was it Gazan and Minghua?
Okay, you definitely don't know their names.
Oogie!
Oogie with your trifling ass. Could have used a little weight to throw around earlier when I was being beaten to death.
I want to come with you.
No, Kuvira. Stay with the injured. We'll be back for you once we have the Avatar.
No named important character, you can't. But I'll see about getting you to next season. How's that?
Hey, I appreciate you coming back for us. Sorry for ever giving you a hard time.
That's okay. I probably deserved it.
Mako and Kai are tied together in a way this season, briefly and tenuous, and this moment kind of captures how little the show managed to make me care about either of them.
Why didn't you ever tell us you can fly?
I wasn't sure I could.
How'd you figure out how to do it?
Girlfriend blowed up. Similar crystals to down in old Ba Sing Se. Interesting since the two locations are so far apart, and we never see any real examples of them naturally occurring otherwise. You think there was an Avatar Pangaea at some point?
I also lost someone I loved today.
Oh, I can't wait for the Zaheer breakdown next episode.
Bring the poison.
Poison bending! I feel like I was pretty negative about this episode, despite overall not thinking the episode was too bad. Like, all the big stuff was cool for the most part. Tension was high once it got going. Both sides of the story were interesting and high stakes. Big moments happened. Fights were undoubtedly cool with great choreography and animation. Lee got her fucking head blown off. A weaker man would call it mind-blowing, but I'm above that. A lot of really cool stuff went down, and I can honestly say I enjoyed the lion's share of it. But I think this episode, and where it's placed in the season near the end, has sort of created a perfect storm of it being kind of obvious what the season didn't do all that great either. And all those points got rolled up into this one. At no fault of the episode on its own, but just the season as a whole. And lava dynamics. Did a lot of bitching about how lava works, I know, but like every time it showed up, I was like, holy shit, what does it end? Anyway, yeah, I liked this episode. It was definitely one of the better ones of the season, and I think it's worth the praise I did give it. Patreon shoutouts if you want to see the next 2 episodes of Overanalyzing Korra ahead of the YouTube releases. You can support me on Patreon for just a few bucks. Link, as always, is in the description below the video. Biggest shoutouts of all go to my top patrons. Arj, who is cursed to obey all traffic laws. Great side effect, they're insane at red light, green light. Blanco, who is responsible for almost all cryptid sightings. They have a very odd shadow and are frighteningly fast at night. Cameron Lowry, who can show up on time no matter when they leave. They tend to leave on time though due to the sonic booms if they're behind. Gene Cree, who gets everything on the second try. Everything. It's pretty sweet, but can be annoying to just never be able to bink something, you know? Gyro-like, who I saw riposte a stingray attack with the day-to-day rapier they carry around. Luna Invicta, who was so good looking that whenever they're on film, the camera actually starts to get recharged. Matthew Lang, who has survived 5 duels at high noon. Pretty easy when you replace your wrist bones with mantis shrimp parts. Potato Scream, who can reflect any hypnotic waves if they place each fingertip to the corresponding on the other hand and raise one eyebrow. The former meaning of life, who was working on a treaty with the fog beings. Everyone just don't go in the fog until that's sorted out. The 1 AM party, who will always outrank you. The king of the world gave them the only ever unilateral 1-up license. Whitrow, who keeps getting newspaper thrown on the doorstep every Sunday, but man, there's always news from places that don't exist, and everyone's named Clive. And Wow Dude 87, whose reflexes are so fast their leg kicks before the hammer even gets in the room. And my other fuck you money patrons, a sack of pancakes, Kevin Bartlin, Lewis Williams, Liquor Cause I Know Her, Omega Fighter, Tater of Tots, and That One Turian. And my god overanalyzers, 2 Boots Are Beat, Ang, Alan Garvin, Andrew Watchard, Andy Ruiz, Oropataro, Axolotl Syndicate, Chandler Crump, Cosmic Newbie, Dr. Xerox, Dominic Saint, Emma Not Emma, Aaron Grace, Fire Lizard 44, I'm a Match, Jackson, Jeremy Rubenstein, Jake Hurt 4215, John Ajaka, John Warhammer, Justin Scott, LM the RMT, Mac, Medium D Speaks, Michael Fallon, Mitchell Gobrecht, Nick, Nicholas Abbott, Peter Bayron, Pogger White, Revenge of the Beefsteak Tomatoes, Rocket Mist, Ryan Maxwell, Scoobert, Shane Antonacci, Silk Toast, Smarty Marty, Princess Useless Backwards, Super Snipper, Totoro, Bobo's Musical Emporium, Von Can't Spell, and some sort of Bearface. Next up, Zaheer, SMHTBH.